In the dead of night, the high school alumni group chat began pinging nonstop. Someone, presumably bored and sipping a drink, tossed out a prompt: 3 keywords to describe your high school experience. Go. The chat, which had been dormant for years, was suddenly shattered by a name that made my heart skip a beat. Camille Sterling, the undisputed prom queen of our graduating class. Vibrant, she wrote. Passionate. Then, after a deliberate pause, she added a third word, each one stabbing like a pin, and Nate. The chat exploded instantly. A decade later, they were still the golden couple of our high school's tragic lore, the rebellious, wealthy bad boy and the ethereal, gentle honor student. They had loved each other with a raw, blazing passion that everyone envied, only for it to end in a messy, rain-soaked heartbreak that summer after graduation. Every person in that chat had witnessed their epic love story, including me. I turned to look at Nate, who was sound asleep beside me. The sharp edges of the boy I once knew had been smoothed by time and tailored suits. Nathaniel Vance was no longer the leather-jacketed delinquent. He was my husband, distinguished, composed, and utterly indifferent to me. That old thorn I'd driven deep into my heart years ago began to throb with a familiar dull ache. It seemed the onlookers were more invested in the ghost of their relationship than the actual people involved. Camille's Instagram says she's single, but Nate, does anyone actually know what he's up to now? He went dark after the breakup. The only place I see him these days is on Bloomberg. Come on, the guy's a machine. No scandals, no tabloid photos, just work. There's no way he has a girlfriend. It makes sense. When you lose the love of your life that young, everyone else is just noise. Why did they even break up anyway? Classic ego. She wanted to go to the Sorbonne. He was being a jerk about it. They both clung to the drama instead of compromising. This is like a second-chance romance novel waiting to happen. I'm obsessed. They wove fantasies of a reunion, while I stayed silent. A terrible thought dawning on me. I was the noise, the compromise he'd settled for, when he realized he couldn't have the real thing. I reached out to turn off the lamp, but Nate's phone lit up on the nightstand. An unknown number, with just one line: "I'm back, Nate." No contact name, but I didn't need one. Only Camille called him Nate with that specific, casual intimacy. He was sound asleep, his hand resting instinctively on my stomach, as it so often did in his sleep. His wedding ring, cold against my skin through my silk nightgown, felt heavier than usual that night. A wave of nausea washed over me, and my thumb hovered over his screen, tempted to delete the message before he saw it. I knew his passcode: 579,579, a pattern on the keypad, a sequence I'd long convinced myself was a code for their names, or some anniversary. I stared at the lock screen for a full 2 minutes, my heart pounding against my ribs, before finally setting it down. Going through his phone felt beneath me. Besides, Nate had never indulged me the way he'd indulged her. I suddenly remembered a day in 10th grade when Camille had been furious because a freshman girl wouldn't stop texting him. Nate had just laughed, sliding his phone across the desk to her. "Jealous, babe," he'd whispered, his eyes dancing. "I already blocked her, but go ahead, check the logs, delete anyone you don't like. I'm all yours." That memory kept sleep at bay, and I stayed awake until the first light seeped through the curtains. Nate's internal clock was usually precise: gym, shower, black coffee.